leads a group of lawmakers pressing the federal government for a stronger response in Puerto Rico. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Listen, I know you've been outspoken about the president's response here. Today, he cited the former FEMA director under President Clinton as saying that he got an A+ response to all of the hurricanes, including the Hurricane Maria, including what's going on in Puerto Rico.
Well, I will challenge the president, and I will challenge the former FEMA administrator. What we have seen on the ground is a poor, dysfunctional response from a White House that was caught off guard, wasn't prepared, didn't do advanced planning to deploy all the federal assets that we needed in order to assist the citizens in Puerto Rico. The fact that today people are drinking water, contaminated water, tells you the desperation that people are finding themselves.
Or at the very least water that they don't know is contaminated. Or could be contaminated. What do you think, if one thing could change right this moment and make lives a lot better out there, to make it easier, speed the progress up, what would that one thing be from the federal government?
We need to restore the energy grid, and we need to restore the water, drinkable water. But
are they not working on that adequately?
Well, 3 weeks later, more than 84% of the people in Puerto Rico do not have access.
What is the holdup to fix the power grid? What is the issue here? Why is it so much more difficult to get this back up and running 3 weeks in than it would be in any other place?
It was a massive disaster, needed a massive response. The manpower, the experts that needed to be on the ground are still not there. And we need for the federal government and the president to start working on a rebuilding recovery package that will provide the resources to start reconstruction. Let me just say this. 2 weeks ago, the Virgin Islands got approval or grant funding to start rebuilding. Still Puerto Rico, 3 weeks later.
Why is that? Why is Puerto Rico getting something, or not getting something that the U.S. Virgin Islands is getting?
I do not know.
Any idea?
And the president needs to really grasp the severity of the crisis in Puerto Rico. Just by going to Puerto Rico and staying in the San Juan area without going into the most remote, vulnerable areas doesn't provide the kind of facts and visuals that he needed to see in order to really come back to the White House, bring the cabinet members and instruct them of everything, what they needed to do in order to provide the kind of resources that are needed.
So the House has passed a $36 billion relief package already, and that includes $1.27 billion specifically designated for food assistance in Puerto Rico. Is that not enough?
There is a shortage of food. Supermarkets are empty. My sister called me this morning. She was making a line. She was online at 6:30 this morning. She went to Caguas yesterday, another part of the island, and the supermarket, they didn't have food. So as the president said, this is an island sitting in a big ocean. Well, it's not a big ocean, it's the Caribbean Sea. But we needed to use all the federal resources and to deploy vessels, the aircraft carrier, for example, with the type of helicopters that are needed to reach those remote areas.
Do you think we could benefit from something like a disaster relief czar?
That's what I asked, and that's what we did during Katrina. And the problem, it took the administration almost 2 weeks to appoint a 3-star general. As I mentioned to you before, this was a monumental disaster. The logistic in Puerto Rico, in an island where people were trapped in some remote areas where they lost the bridges. The roads are obstructed, so there's no way in or out. And we didn't have the manpower, we didn't have the equipment, we didn't have the trucks, we didn't have the drivers.
Let's underscore that we are this far out, and the EPA is worried about reports that people are drinking from wells, water wells, in Superfund sites. That's like drinking from wells in the Gowanus. If you live here in New York City,
and that is in my district.
A Superfund site. No good.
We have 14 Superfund sites in Puerto Rico with the floods. Today, there are municipalities that are facing, because of the rain, rivers overflowing. All that material, all that hazardous material is going into those wells.
If you're at home, you don't know what a Superfund site is, do yourself a favor, Google it. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate seeing you in person.
And thank you for all the coverage that you have provided.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Still to come, trouble for the president's drug czar nominee after a blockbuster report on his time